You're listening to The Outcue, a 21 News journalist perspective on a top news story.
Hi, I'm Robert McFerrin, Senior Digital Content Manager here at WFMJ. And today we're on The Outcue. We're talking about our Watchdog stories. Joining me today is Corey McRae, weekend anchor and reporter. And we're going to talk about a story that we did a couple weeks ago, Corey, and how we found it and where it's led. So the story started off that we were looking for a story, just anything, and I saw something on a Facebook post calling out a woman saying that she was a scammer, alleging that she was a scammer, and that she had been defrauded by this person. So I reached out to see what this was about, like what's going on here, and found, and they had a Facebook group they let me in to say that, you know, they had all put money down for puppies and never received puppies. So I said, well, show me the proof. What's your proof? Because again, everything we do is based on fact. And we hear lots of people talk about stories they have. Some of them pan out, some of them don't. And in this case, it was one of those that we reached out, we looked at the case, found out there had been police reports filed, there had been lawsuits filed in civil cases against this. So we started looking into it. We did a report on this, and the case I'm talking about is a case involving a Goshen Township woman allegedly selling puppies to people who never received puppies. And Corey, why don't you tell us a little bit about the case?
For sure, yeah. April Waidman, she's a breeder of Dachshunds and English Bulldogs in the Goshen Township area. I mean, you're from that area.
I am.
So that's close to home for you, I know. And yeah, really just taking payment for puppies. It all boils down to taking payments for puppies and never providing those puppies. And I think once you kind of got the wheels greased, it was a snowball effect. Yeah. People saw the story, the initial story, and said, wow, I bought a dog from this woman. I've been getting the runaround, some for years. We're talking 3 years. Going back to 2021, and here we are now.
And I did, when we were initially researching this, as a digital manager, I was just trolling through Facebook posts, found this digital post, and saw this, and so I wondered, what's going on, and I started calling some of the people. So they let me into their group, and I saw some of the people, and I said, I put my cell number out there and said, can you call me if this happened to you? I'd like to talk to you, just find out what your case is about. And we found that, I talked with people from Florida, California. I had seen in the group there was people from Canada. So this was not just, it was local people, it was regional, and then it was across the country and even out of the country that people were all alleging the same thing. And I'd like to say everybody is innocent until proven guilty. And then of course, so what we're talking about are, charges that have been filed. And so what we did is we reported on this case. And now, as of last night, it kind of took a new turn on this case. We found many alleged victims saying that they had lost, and the amounts varied on these dogs. How much did the amounts vary by, Corey?
Oh, you're talking about $6,000 in some cases. I mean, others, they might have just purchased 1 or 2 dogs and, for a steep cost too. But going back to what you said, the prosecutor's office, typically in cases like these, you're talking about civil cases. Like typically, sometimes you'll have businesses that go under or they can't provide a service. And that's kind of what Mahoning County Prosecutor Gina DeGenova was really reiterating today, saying that things happen and those are usually handled in civil court or in civil cases. But in this case, there was an element of, hey, I'm taking money and never plan on providing puppies.
And that's what made the change of the charge then from civil to
criminal. And
okay.
You talk about criminal, there's 32 counts here, all of them ranging from theft and the felony degree to just petty theft, but 32 counts reflecting the 32 victims, and that's just so far what is known so far. And like you said, Robert, there was maybe a couple people you thought were just in this group, and those numbers have grown. They've seen the stories, or you have different Facebook groups, Bulldog rescues, or who have shared this, and now you're starting to see that snowball effect.
And it does seem to be more and more, and I'm sure, as we'll follow this case as it rolls through the courts, and to see because again, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but we're going to watch this case, and this is our now third story on this case. And Why is this so important that we do stories like this?
Well, for one, I think it just keeps people aware, especially like dogs are such an intricate part. I mean, Robert, they're an intricate part of our lives, right?
Corey and I are both German Shepherd people. How many German Shepherds do you have, Corey?
I have three.
And I have two.
So it's, you don't want to get punished by a breeder, because when you have this dog, even if you do get a dog, you don't want to live the next 15 years of having to take care of a dog that, I mean, really, it's been put in your hands, and it's a crappy situation. That's why finding not only a good breeder, and we talked to the AKC, even the prosecutor who's seen cases like this before. I mean, all say when it comes to this, you need to go and see the puppy, see the parents, get an idea of what you're getting, because I think here, you can argue that you see $1,600 or you see $800 for an English Bulldog. It's pretty enticing because you know how much those dogs go for.
Yep, I just bought an AKC registered German Shepherd puppy here a few weeks ago, and it was more than that. So yeah, yes, if you're getting a bargain, question why I'm getting a bargain. And in this case, people were offered bargains allegedly for if you paid all up in front, I'd knock some money off. So it's one of those that seems enticing. Everybody wants a bargain, but again, you have to be cautious. And that's what even like the Better Business Bureau I saw last year said in the first 10 months, the puppy scams around the U.S., more than $1 million was lost by people, which is a staggering amount of people. Because, I mean, if you want a puppy, you're just looking for something to love. And to have the heartbreak that I've spent all my money and I got nothing in return, I can't imagine.
And I think that's what we're seeing now, even in the civil cases. I was up at Sebring Court, Judge Joe Schiavone, really, trying to figure out how to approach the situation, because, you have, April Waidman, who, told the court, that she's basically been in between full-time jobs, and that she's been trying to pay people back, and she's made payments to a couple of those people, but it's hard to take money from somebody who, in a case of having, 32 victims that we know of, doesn't have it.
Right, and so, I mean, you spoke with the prosecutor today, and what is going to be the likely outcome? I mean, what are we going to see here? I mean, they're going to put this, if this person goes to court and is found guilty, will these people ever likely see their money back?
That's a good question. I know that goes back to a lot of the civil case and civil element of this too. Ultimately comes down to, the court. But for now, there's a lot of people. Cassandra Malis is one I talked to. She's from Struthers, and it's not only the financial toll, but it's kind of the emotional toll. These people who are just kind of who tell us that they've been given the runaround as to why they can't get a puppy, and some going 2 and 3 years down the road still with no puppy. And you talked about it; it's an investment. You pay $1,600, and
then that's the beginning of your investment.
that's the beginning, and back to Sebring Court for those civil cases. Now, she was ordered to pay 3 of those victims $150 a month starting on May 1st.
And she has made some payments to some of the victims, because I did speak with Ms. Waidman in our first story, and she has made some payments. But as you said, she's out of work. So how do I get, blood from a turnip? There's a part where I can't get anything at this point. So, and now that this has escalated to this many people, it's going to be even more challenging, I think.
And those 3 victims really echoed the same question you just asked. Will these people get their money back? They're hopeful they'll get it back. But, of course, have been skeptical to this point, of course, with, reasonable cause.
And I think, and I did speak with, I was texting with one of the victims last night who texted me and said, did I see that, there was an indictment, the grand jury indicted Ms. Waidman last night. And so we looked into it and saw that it was indeed the case. And there was actually some, like, I hate to use the word, but excitement, because this group, when we first found them, again, one gentleman I talked to, it's been 4 years, and they weren't able to getting anyone to listen to them. They felt frustrated, and they felt that they had just been taken advantage of, and there was no one, that was going to be able to help them. And that's kind of when we came out and said, let's see what we can do. We have a Watchdog brand here. That's what we do. We follow the facts, we report the facts, and we try to help people that are, potentially being, victimized. So in this case, I think they at least feel a little, justice has been served, that they've been heard. and now they're having their day in court.
For sure, and someone that has affected a lot of people on top of that. But it's kind of like a car. You wouldn't buy a car without taking it for or a used car at least without taking it for a test drive. And I think some of that comes to play here with dogs. Going to see, and we talked about it before, going to see the parents, getting an idea what that puppy is like. You wouldn't. Some people get the wrong dog for them, and that's a whole different conversation. But
Yeah, and I think it's important, always make sure, don't put any money down on anything that you haven't seen. That's that's not even for puppies. That's for anything. Don't give people money for something I don't know it's tangible. I don't know it exists. Make sure. And in this case, I would never put a deposit down a full amount. Always give a partial amount. That way, I pay the rest off when I get my product. In this case, a puppy. And unfortunately, that's the lesson a lot of these people have learned. That it's a hard lesson, but hopefully they'll now someday get some of their money back. The judge had ordered these payments, it was $150 a month, but now that this number has grown to 32 people and totaling more than $20,000, it's going to take a long time, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the prosecutor today saying $50,000 they're talking now. So, I mean, again, that number continues to climb.
As more people are found that, because this group, when we first got on it, there was dozens in this group, but it's grown and grown and grown in weeks just since our reporting on this, of more people being found and realizing, I'm part of this. I didn't realize it.
I think it goes to another important point too, and something that the prosecutor said today. Google some of these people, go to Facebook groups, see what previous people, reach out to someone who might have left a review on a Facebook page of one of these groups just to see what their experience is like, especially if they have, and a lot of good breeders too on Facebook, they'll have groups, for the people who have bought puppies, so they can kind of mingle amongst themselves.
It gives you a reference point of like, here's people that are giving me saying that they like my puppies and they're happy with what they bought from me. I think a lot of good breeders do that.
For sure. And there's also breeders, as far as a lot of breeders have restrictions in their contracts that if you're to get rid of that puppy, you're not to surrender it to a shelter, you're to take it back to the breeder.
Yes.
Good breeders oftentimes stand behind, or should
Yep.
at least stand behind those dogs. And then something forbid happens to the dog, people put dogs in their wills. So having a breeder is and a lot of breeders will be asking you the same questions, if not more, to try and figure out if you're a right fit for the puppy, because ultimately a good breeder cares. It's like having kids. You want to see them go to a right home. I'm probably not going to put a protection dog in a family home where they're not working the dog.
That's a great point. I mean, in theory, and this is what AKC told us a couple of weeks ago when we did the story, that in theory, the person who is selling you the dog should be interviewing you, to see if you are a good fit for this dog. Because everybody has different needs. Every dog has a different need. Our dogs are high energy. They need run. They need played with. And you have to have the room, the time, and the ability to do so.
For sure. But I mean, going back and kind of, I guess, hammering the nail a little bit, just why stories like this, if one person or another person, takes away that, hey, I was maybe skeptical of this breeder. Maybe I was looking on Craigslist or, someplace I probably wouldn't look. If it seems too good to be true, here's maybe a list of things.
Yep.
And that's why you talk to these people, the AKC, you're talking to people who, set the standards for what breeding should be, and like that. And some people don't know that.
And to clarify, this breeder was an AKC registered breeder.
Yes.
And so it's, again, do your homework as well. Know what you're getting into. Ask people. I mean, somebody, if you have a certain type of dog, more than likely somebody knows somebody that had maybe dealt with this person. Ask around, because dogs are a lifetime commitment. There's, you got 15 years, so make sure you're finding a good fit for you and for your dog.
For sure. And of course, we all have to wait to see what comes out of the, what comes out of the court. But felony counts, of course, can result in jail time. So definitely, that's the.
Did the prosecutor give you any idea of, the potential sentence on this?
I mean, they don't like the prosecutors they don't want to speculate. But anytime you're talking about felony counts here, theft. I mean, felony theft counts have oftentimes resulted in some sort of jail time. But anytime you push You know, if it can be handled in civil court and you think that's the end of the line, you know, then it's just kind of a restitution, pay the person back, you know, kind of redo or undo the harm that you did, for lack of a better term. But as far as when you talk about criminal, you're talking about criminal counts here, talking about felonies. Definitely, you know, the prosecutor saw that there was deceit here on top of bad business practice.
Again, I think, this all falls back in why we do what we do. We do this to help people. And here was a group that had been asking for help, and we decided, I think we can help. We reached out to you, got all the police reports. You did the reporting on it. We talked with the prosecutors, and now we have an indictment of a person that will now answer to a judge of how this goes forward. So,
Of course.
yeah. And I think that's why our watchdog is so important that we do. And if you ever have any story that you want us to work on, you can reach us here. 330-744-8821 is our newsroom number. You can reach out to us at watchdog@wfmj.com, news@wfmj.com. Anything else you'd like to add to the story, Corey?
Oh, just like I said, we'll see how this plays out, and of course, it's nice, you know, talking to the people who are affected like this, who have someone to talk to. Sometimes it's just venting about the situation. We've talked about that before. Other times, it's getting some kind of closure, and it's ultimately those people, by giving those people a voice, that kind of brings a resolution to this.
And when I got the text last night, and they were thanking us for doing our job, and like, that's our job. That's what we do. That's why we're here. But I do like when we are able to help people. That's ultimately, we do lots of stories where we don't get to see closure on them, and when we do get to see them, there is some satisfaction that we did help somebody.
Right on.
All right. Thank you very much. Join us next time. And in the meantime, we'll see you later.